What's going on, guys? In today's video, we're going to be going over how to animate 3D text. Now, this is going to be more of a complex animation because we are going to be using a null object in order to animate a part of 3D text. I really like the way it looks, and I'm sure you guys are going to like it too. Before we get into the video, I want to let you guys know that my name is Danny, and I run the Motion Visual Shop where I sell editing packs and presets for video editors. So if you want to level up your edits and also save time editing, I'll have the link to that down in the description. With all that being said, let's get right into the video. All right, so here in After Effects, we have this Turks and Caicos. Pretty sure I said that correctly, but we have this music video by Nems, and we're going to be creating that 3D text effect on this footage. So the first thing we're going to do is create a new text layer, and for the font, I'll be going for Impact. I'm pretty sure that's a free font, but you can always use whichever font that you want. So I'm going to write the title of the song, and then I'm going to create a separate layer. Just click Control D. Just move the position down for that one, and then write the artist's name. So in this case, it's going to be Nems. So we have the title of the song and then the title of the artist. I like to have the anchor point right at the center for my text layers, and you don't always need to do that. I just like having the anchor point right at the center. So just click your layer, hold the control button, and then click this anchor point tool twice. And then I'm just going to do the same thing for the other layer as well. For both of these layers, I'm going to increase the scale, increase that to like 235%. And I also want both of the text layers to be right at the center. So if you go to the Align tab and then just click your layer, click this align horizontally and then align vertically so it's right at the center. You can always just check your position to make sure that it's right at the center. So I'm going to do that for both of the layers. And I know that does look a little weird because both of the text layers, they're like overlapping and you can't really see like what the words say. But once we create the 3D text, we're going to be able to see both of the text layers. So once you do that, we're going to create a new solid. And then for the solid color, it doesn't really matter which color. So I'll just keep it like that. And in order to create this 3D text effect, we are going to be using a plugin called Element 3D. The perfect plugin, especially if you want to go for 3D stuff for your edits. I'm just going to name this one to 3D Turks because this is going to be the one for the actual title of the song, and then we're going to eventually create another 3D text layer for the name of the artist. And I'm just going to turn off both of these layers for now. So for the Element 3D, go to the custom layers and then custom text. For the first path layer, I'm going to select the title of the song and then go into the scene setup. So once you get into the scene, you want to then click extrude so that we can actually see the text. All right, so now we have the 3D text, and then go to the presets, open up the bevels. There's a lot of different options that you can choose, and you can just go for whatever look that you want. In my case, I want to go for the round white one and then just add that to my text. So by adding that, it already makes it look a lot better. Okay, so now we have the 3D text of the title of the song, and I actually want this to blend in with the environment. So go to the custom texture maps, and then for the first layer, change it to the layer of your video. Then go back into the scene setup, go to the bevel one, click the texture button, go to the environment, and then we're going to load the video layer that we selected from earlier. Also do the same thing for the second bevel. Also going to change the settings for the extrude. So for the first one, I'm going to be increasing that to I think like around 4. And then for the second one, let's also increase this. I'm going to have this one a little smaller just so that we can actually see the edges of our text. So I'll increase the extrude to 3. And by adjusting those settings, just adds more depth to our 3D text. So now we have that 3D text with the environment kind of like animating on the text. It actually blends in with the video. Then I'm going to go into the render settings, open up the physical environment, increase the exposure. I'm going to increase this to 1.3, go into the ambient occlusion. Make sure to enable that, change it to ray traced. And by doing that, we can actually see more of the shadows for our 3D text. I'm also going to animate the environment. So go to the rotate environment, and then let's keyframe the X rotation at the start, go towards the end. And let's just animate this to like 180 degrees. Bring that keyframe towards the end, easy ease both of the keyframes. So now the environment is actually rotating throughout our text. And I think that looks pretty dope. We're going to then create a 3D text for the name of our artist. So let's duplicate this layer, click Control D, turn this one off for now. I'm also just going to rename this to 3D Nems. Go back into custom layers and then change the custom text to the name of the artist. So now we have the 3D text of the name of the song as well as the artist. And let's bring down the position for the artist. So I'm just going to bring it down and have it like right underneath. I'm also going to make the artist name smaller in order to create that hierarchy where we have the title of the song a lot bigger. So go to the particle look and then decrease this to 6, bring that up, have it like right there. Then we're going to actually animate our 3D text. So I'm going to turn off the name for now, and then for the 3D title, go forward like 8 frames and go to the group 1 particle look. And then you want to make sure to turn on the enable multi-object. So we're not going to adjust any of these settings. I'm just going to turn that on and then go to the animation engine, enable that. So this is what we're going to use in order to actually animate in our text. If I adjust the settings, the animation, as you guys can see, it like animates in. Instead of having it at directional, we're going to change that to random, and then keyframe the animation at 100% at the start, or not at the start, but at the 8 frame mark. And then I want this to feel really smooth. So let's go forward like 30 frames. Keyframe the animation back to 0%. Easy ease both of the keyframes. So when I play this through, as you guys can see, all the letters they animate in at different times. It creates that like offset effect because we had the multi-object on. So you want to make sure to enable that, because if we don't have that on, it like everything just animates in at once. So that's really important. Make sure to enable that. Now we're going to rotate in our text. So go into the particle rotation, and we're going to be animating the X rotation. Go right here. Then we're going to keyframe the X rotation. Bring that keyframe towards the end where the other keyframe is. And I want this to animate in one full cycle. So I'll just change this value to -1. So that way it rotates in the right direction. Then easy ease both of the keyframes, and then make sure to turn on the motion blur. So this is what we have for the animation so far. Adding the rotation keyframes just makes it look a little more dynamic. We can also go into the graph editor or the right side. I can have the influence at around like 65%. Then go into the animation keyframes, animation engine keyframes, go into the graph editor, create the same exact graph where we have the influence at around 65%. So that way when it animates in, it like animates kind of fast at the start and then it like slows down towards the end. Just makes the animation look smoother. But if you liked it the other way where we didn't adjust the graph editors, then you can also just leave it like that. I think both ways look pretty smooth. We're also going to be doing the same thing for the 3D text of our artist. Go to the multi-object and make sure to enable that. Then we're going to go into the animation engine, enable that, change the animation type to random. For this one, we're going to have it start at a different time than the title of the song. So let's go forward 8 frames from these keyframes right here, and just keyframe the animation engine at the start at 100%, then go forward 25 frames because I want this one to animate in a little faster. Keyframe the animation back to 0%, easy ease both of the keyframes, and then we're also going to be animating the particle rotation. Keyframe the X rotation at -1, and then go forward 25 frames, keyframe that back to 0. Easy ease both of the keyframes, turn on the motion blur, and then I'm going to create the same exact graphs as we did for the title of the song. So the influence on the right side is at around 65%. And then the same exact graph for this one. This is what we have for the animation. Final thing we're going to do is create an extra rotation animation for both of these 3D texts. I think it just adds a little more to the animation, which makes it look a little better. So let's create a new null object for both of these text layers. And in order to do that, we want to go into the group 1, go to create group null, and then just click create. So that creates a null object for the title of the song. And then we're going to do the same thing for the name of the artist. Now we have 2 null objects. And what we're going to do is grab this null object, which is the one for the name of the artist, grab the parent pick whip and make sure to drag it onto the null object of the title of the song. I'm also going to bring that layer forward, open up the position. I'm going to make sure that both of these text layers are right at the center. So just drag that up, kind of just match the proportional grid. I think like right there looks good. And then open up the rotation. So I'm going to be keyframe the X rotation, and when I do that, it like rotates both of the 3D text. Let's go towards the beginning, keyframe that at 1 full cycle at -1, go forward to the end of the keyframes for the name of the artist, keyframe the X rotation back to 0, easy ease both of the keyframes, go into the graph editor, and I'm going to create the same exact graph. This is what we have for the final animation. So by creating those null objects for 3D text layers, there's actually a lot you can do. Final thing we're going to do is just change the color of these 3D texts. So let's add an effect called color balance HLS. Once we add this effect, we can change the hue. So as you guys can see, we have like different looks. I'm just going to change this to a different color just so that it looks different from our video layer. I think 175 degrees looks good. But of course, you want to change that according to your footage. I want to make sure that both of these texts are the same color. So just copy this effect and then paste it onto the other layer as well. This is what we have for the final animation. I think the rotation environment is a little too intense, so I'm actually going to change the value of this keyframe right here. Instead of having it at 180 degrees, I'll just change that to 90 degrees and then do the same thing for the other layer as well. I think that looks a lot better, but that is all I have for this 3D text effect. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments. I appreciate you guys for watching. Make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys in the next video.